What are the most useful digital marketing techniques the Harlequin uses?
Well, Harlequin uses a lot of strategies. I would have to say that with all the publishers that I've worked with, what really does work is simply best practices for e-commerce. For example, taking your brand and looking at your brand attributes and seeing what you can build an audience around. Okay, like for this conference where it's Valentine's Day, a few Valentines years ago, we worked with Sony. We did a dedicated reader. It was a limited edition, Valentine's Day edition of the Sony reader. It came bundled with Harlequins, and it was a very big hit. It was extremely successful on a lot of levels. It really spoke to the core attributes of the Harlequin brand. It extended that into an audience of people who maybe weren't thinking about ebooks, or maybe even weren't thinking about ebook readers, but they were going to possibly get these things as a Valentine's present. So I worked on a lot of levels as far as getting ebooks out there in general, and the Harlequin brand on board with that. It was so successful that a lot of other publishers have used that, dedicated device, custom device. They do it a little bit differently. They tend to, do it with, say, authors. I think it's better to do it around your core brand.
Now that actually leads into another question that I have for you. For publishers that don't have as defined a brand, where perhaps they're across multiple different categories, how should they approach that? Should they try to build up a specific brand around a specific category?
Well, I think you should build up a specific brand. I mean, O'Reilly is a really good example of this. I mean, you have a beautiful website which has a lot of information. If people know the O'Reilly brand, they'll go to that website and they'll say, wow, all this stuff is digital and it's wonderful. But if I'm just looking for, say, computer help books, for example, just to say one category that you have, in all the usual places that I might look for ebooks, I don't see O'Reilly really extended into that space. So, it's one thing to sell to your customer base. It's another thing to take your brand and move it out there, into places where people might not know you. I mean, they might have a need for your information, a need for your books, but not know your brand.
Okay, so for something like a big publisher that's across multiple categories, what would you recommend there? Should they try to focus on brands around specific categories? Should they try to build around authors, imprints, that type of thing?
I think it's a mistake to build around authors. Authors are like baseball players. They tend to be free agents.
Right.
Harlequin, just to give another example, we spent a lot of time building up Debbie McComber, for example, in the digital space and in the Kindle space particularly. And now she's gone over to HarperCollins, which kind of makes her sort of like, the Jason Worth of romance publishing, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure, right. Wasn't expecting that one. So the last question I have for you, in digital marketing, does a campaign ever end now?
No. You have to do continuous performance measurement. Okay, in books particularly, there's a lot of long tail involved. You really have to do the analytics. You have to take a look at not only long tail for your own books, long tail for your competition.
Right. Well, thank you very much for being with us. Appreciate it.